Well, let's return to those astonishing pictures from Baltimore, and we're going to be speaking to Sean Keyes, the CEO of civil and structural engineering firm Sutcliffe. We're also awaiting a press conference which will be imminent. Sean, thank you very much for coming on the show. Lots of people concerned with how this could happen in such a major port. This ship was only 20 minutes into its journey. Could there have been something structurally unsound with this bridge, or is this just something that would have happened to any bridge, considering the weight and size of this ship?
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. So the scale and size of this ship is enormous. I think it weighs something in the order of 165,000 tons. And if a heavy goods vehicle weighs between 10 and 40 tons, it means we're somewhere in the range of 4,000-ish type plus vehicles hitting it all simultaneously. So if a ship of this size hits a bridge column or a bridge structure of this size, which is largely unprotected, the bridge is highly unlikely to survive. This is literally like a human being walking into a pack of cards. The pack of cards is just not going to survive. So I suspect that there's nothing wrong with the bridge. The bridge has been designed to American standards, which is slightly different to UK standards. But it's virtually impossible to design a bridge to resist the full impact of such a huge structure. If you look at the size of the cargo ship, it's enormous. And to actually design a bridge to resist that type of impact, it would probably have to be 100 or 1,000 times stronger, which would obviously mean that the cost for constructing that bridge would be 100 or 1,000 times greater.
Those are staggering numbers, really staggering numbers, Sean. We were reminded a little bit earlier about Newton's second law in all of this. People who have once upon a time done a physics GCSE might remember it. It's that force is equal to mass times acceleration. This thing didn't have to be going particularly fast. The acceleration did not have to be that great if the mass, if the weight of this thing was so heavy.
No, absolutely. It's almost like the equivalent of an ant climbs over your toe or a car drives over your toe. The ant makes no difference at all, but the car is huge. The force from just the sheer mass of it, the conservation of momentum, is just off the scale. And if you look at all the containers on the ship, there's so many containers on that ship, and each one of those could be on the back of a heavy goods vehicle. So you get the feel for the size of the force from, as you say, Newton's second law, and this momentum. It can only be transferred into the structure of the columns which are supporting the bridge. But it's a really sad day. A couple of other little statistics. America's got on the order of 600,000 bridge structures, and this is an incredibly rare event. I was trying to recall the last time I can remember seeing something like this, but it's such a rare event. And then when it does happen, it really does hit the headlines. But there's clearly been a problem that's happened with the boat and not the structure.
Yes, essentially what you're saying is this bridge didn't stand a chance.
Not at all. I mean, what's more common, and I regularly investigate this, is where a vehicle on a British road loses control. And if a heavy goods vehicle loses control and then drives into a building, the building has no chance of survival. And the same applies in this instance. Even though the bridge is much stronger, the sheer weight of the cargo vehicle is huge. If this had been a tugboat or a much smaller vehicle, a much smaller boat, then the bridge would have survived. Typically in the UK, we design for accidental impacts on bridges in the range of 50 tons. So 50 tons is a huge figure. That's bigger than you'd expect if it was hit by a heavy goods vehicle at speed. So this is in the range of 4,000 times greater than that. So it really didn't stand. It really didn't stand a chance. It's like you've got an elephant in your front room, and the elephant decides it wants to go through the door. The door is not going to stop it.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive to just think about the idea of all of those what look like tiny little containers on the back of that ship. Each one of those is a big old lorry, in effect.
It's extraordinary. It was only 20 minutes into its journey.
Yes.
No, indeed.
Thanks, Sean. Really great to speak to you. Sorry, we're going to have to leave it.
Hope the day goes well for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sean Keys, CEO of civil and structural engineering firm Sutcliffe.